Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to today's Wild Rift video. I've come back a little bit earlier from my break just to show you all the new patch notes for Wild Rift 4.4D. This will be the final patch before we get 5.0 at the start of January. 5.0 is coming out on the 18th of January, so it's definitely an exciting time to look forward to see what all the big and new updates are going to come out, what the new champions are going to be, and everything like that. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's take a look at what's being changed in patch 4.4D. As I mentioned, I'm only coming back briefly to run through these patch notes. I've been taking a little bit of a break over Christmas and also for the new year, so hopefully you all had a good Christmas if you do celebrate, and hopefully you all have a great new year as well. And obviously new year, new patch note as well, which is quite exciting. So we have a new event, New Year Fluffed, which is going to be available from the 29th of December. Then we got Ultra Rapid Fire mode and also Ultimate Spellbook coming back. So they'll both be back on 27th of December and 5th of January. Champion changes. I have to say, ever since that the development team has moved over to China, there has been a lot of changes every single patch. I think this one has about 15 to 20 champion changes in total. Also some quality of life changes as well, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But I think overall, them shifting up the game so much as what they are and then buffing and nerfing so many champions is great for the game in general. You know, it's always nice to try and get into a new sort of meta, even though some of these buffs and nerfs I don't really agree with, but still it's nice that they're keeping on top of things, they're buffing things and they're nerfing things. They're trying to keep the meta fresh every single couple of weeks. So Aatrox, obviously since Aatrox's buffs, he has been incredibly powerful in the jungle. I mentioned this a little bit in my previous tier list video. He's become one of the strongest junglers now because he's basically building full damage and doing a whole bunch of damage. So what they've done is they've added a new damage nerf to the Darkened Blade, his first ability. It now only does 70% damage to monsters instead of 100%. So you won't be doing as much damage with your first ability when clearing through the jungle. But I still think Aatrox will be really, really good in the jungle. Like I said, he's been dominating at the moment in the jungle, going for Ghost Blade, going for these full damage items, and he does a lot of damage to enemy champions. If you're against any squishy champions when you're playing Aatrox, you could probably jump in and just one-shot them, to be honest with you. That's how scary this champion is right now. But pretty nice nerf, really, really nice. Obviously doesn't affect his Baron lane at all, just affects his jungle. But again, as I mentioned, I think his jungle is definitely incredibly powerful right now. So number one, very, very good nerf. Amumu's getting a little bit of a buff, the charging time on his first ability. Obviously you can use his first ability twice and there's a bit of a charging time. 2 seconds in the early game is really, really nice, and then obviously 2 seconds in the late game, so just 2 seconds at every single rank going down. This means that Amumu will find more opportunities to use his bandage shots to be able to make plays across the map, whether he's ganking or he's going in for a team fight. Overall quite nice, and increase the base damage by tantrum by quite a lot as well. You can see here in terms of the early game as well as the late game, you know, the damage going up is going to help his jungle clear by quite a bit. You know, the charging time with first ability means he can get around the jungle a lot quicker, and this is normally the ability that you want to try and you know, kind of level up first, because every single time that you take damage from a jungle camp, it reduces the cooldown of this ability. So this going up in terms of the base damage is really, really nice for Amumu's early jungle clear, and you can probably see that Amumu's jungle clear is going to be incredibly fast when he comes out, when the new patch comes out tomorrow. Yeah, we'll have to see about that one, but quite excited for this. Obviously Amumu AP is a little bit more popular than Amumu tank, but both will still be incredibly powerful. Darius, this is one of the quality of life changes that will be coming at the start of January. There are a few similar to this. So basically, knocks in guillotine his ultimate when casting, and an enemy and the target dies, moves out of range, becomes untargetable, or activates as long as Hourglass or Guardian Angel. The mana cost will be refunded, and it will go to a 5-second cooldown. So this is basically just helping out Darius players that, say for example, you do really well to stack your passive, you do really well to be able to get them low enough to use their ultimate, and then just on use Hourglass hits. This means that when you use your ultimate and the enemy doesn't take any damage, then it's going to be, you know, the mana cost is going to be refunded, and also it's going to be put on a 5-second cooldown instead of going on the full cooldown. Now you can say that this is a bit of again, because I kind of like the ease of access sort of thing with champions, because Zhonya's Hourglass was all to do with timing. I don't agree with this Zhonya's Hourglass. I kind of agree with maybe Guardian Angel and other things like moving out of range or becoming untargetable. Zhonya's Hourglass is more of a timing thing. If you buy Zhonya's Hourglass and if you use this to time perfectly to be able to stop or kind of delay Darius's ultimate, I think that's more of a skill thing, where the player with Zhonya's Hourglass was able to actually perfectly time the ultimate and be able to basically dodge it and not get hit by it. But now you're kind of punished by using Zhonya's Hourglass as a way to try and dodge damage from the ultimate, because it will just be put on a 5-second cooldown. It means that you have that little bit of an opportunity, because Zhonya's Hourglass is only for like a second or 2 seconds, so you still have an opportunity to escape Darius before he can use his ultimate again. It's nice that it's going on a 5-second cooldown. It's not just getting refunded in terms of cooldown instantly. 5-second cooldown means that you have a bit of an opportunity to maybe escape after you come back from Zhonya's Hourglass or Guardian Angel. But again, kind of there's a different way. You could look at it in 2 ways. You know, it's a decent quality of life change for Darius in terms of most of these, but also it's a bit of a thing where it kind of sucks if you use Zhonya's to kind of dodge Darius ultimate and then he can use it again in 5 seconds. But overall, I think this, you know, overall it's a really, really good quality of life change, and you'll see this on a few other champions a bit later on. Fiddlesticks also getting a bit of a nerf again. Fiddlesticks is still performing incredibly well. You see his fear duration on his first ability pretty much staying the same during the early levels, but the late levels is really where they're trying to hit Fiddlesticks. And also the second ability, the damage to monsters, is also going down by quite a bit. Obviously this is 185% damage to monsters, because obviously jungle Fiddlesticks is pretty much the only thing right now. That's going down to 160%, so you're not going to be able to clear the jungle as much as what you could before. Obviously the fear duration going down is pretty big, and also the fear duration is going down by like 0.3 seconds, which is quite a lot. That's like a 30% decrease in the late game, which is pretty insane. And then the damage to monsters in the jungle again going down by quite a big percentage. So a few big nerfs to Fiddlesticks. That this especially is going to affect his jungle clear quite a bit, because Fiddlesticks' second ability is his main, you know, damage source in terms of clearing through the jungle. But we'll have to see how that things goes. Again, same with Darius, Garen with Darius when he uses Demacian Justice. Play moves out of target, moves out of range, becomes untargetable, etc, etc. It will go on a 5-second cooldown and the mana will be refunded, even though Garen doesn't have mana. So I'm not too sure why it says the mana cost will be refunded, because Garen doesn't have mana, but you get the idea. Same thing as Darius. Again, kind of a similar situation, whereas like if you Zhonya's the Garen ultimate, you're actually kind of outplaying the Garen, but now you're kind of not anymore, because it only goes on a 5-second cooldown. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Jace is getting a very, very scary buff. I mean, Jace has been buffed a few times over the last recent patches, and players are starting to pick him up more and more now, especially in high elos. Jace has been performing incredibly well. They're increasing the base damage of Jace by 4, which is already scary to say the least, because 4 attack damage might not seem a lot, but it actually is quite a lot if you add up like longsword and also the damage bonuses in terms of his abilities. His health per level is only also going up by, what's that, 8 per level or something like that. So you're getting roughly around 80 extra health when you get to level 15. His first ability as well as the hammer form and also the cannon form, the base damage values are going up on both of them, so you can see all here. So it's going up by 10 every single rank, and the same with the cannon form as well. So hammer form and also the cannon form, which is his range form and melee form, everything is going up by 1. This not too much. Okay, so the cannon form is only going up by the bonus attack damage percentage is only going up, but the hammer form is going up in terms of the base value. And wait, it's going up by the base value and also the bonus attack damage. Wow, so they're really buffing the melee form of the first ability for Jace, and this is going to help his you know, trading potential a lot during the early game. This going up as well is obviously very scary, because this is his main poke damage tool. So this is also very scary, but to compensate the buffs to the damages and also the percentage bonus attack damage, the damage to monsters has gone down to 50%, which is quite a lot, to be fair. It's going from 100% down to 50%. You're basically losing half the damage to Jace in the jungle. This might gut Jace in the jungle, to be fair. It wasn't really played a lot anyway, but I think this just lowers Jace's potential to just clear through the jungle. Like I said, you're nerfing the damage by 50% to monsters in the jungle, so I think they're just saying, okay, we don't want to see Jace jungle anymore. Let's buff laning phase Jace. Let's buff his, you know, base damage and everything else, but then let's just completely, you know, basically gut the damage to monsters. I guess you do have the base attack damage, you do have the bonus damage that you're getting from your abilities, so you'll probably have to work out percentages to see if this is actually a nerf. You know, it actually works out more of a buff than a nerf in terms of Jace jungle. I think it's still a nerf because 50% of the damage you're basically losing, which before, obviously, if you think of like To the Skies was doing 60 damage, 100% of that is obviously 60 damage. Now you're only going to be doing 30 damage in the jungle. Obviously, the extra 2 AD doesn't really add up as much to, you know, losing 30 damage in the jungle. So again, I think it's, again, more of enough to jungle Jace, but a huge buff to both Baron lane and mid lane Jace. And I think Jace will be extremely popular and very powerful in the new patch. Definitely recommend to pick him up. Another quality of life change to Kayn coming in January the 3rd, coming January the 4th. When Kayn is in his darkened form, infesting a target with Umbral Terrace, and the target dies, ending the infestation in advance, the ultimate will still trigger the health regeneration. Okay, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't realize the health the health trigger didn't even trigger if the enemy died before you actually came out of your form. Again, really nice quality of life change. You're just going to guarantee that you get the healing now. So if you ultimate someone when they're low on health and someone else kills that champion, when you jump out before, you wouldn't get healed. Now you're going to get healed. So again, pretty nice, to be fair. This is one of the changes that I do not agree with. I mean, I've been saying for such a long amount of time that Kha'Zix is one of the most broken junglers and will still be one of the most broken junglers after this patch. But now they're just buffing his passive. You know, the damage has gone from what it was before, which was 6 plus 8 per level. Now it's 10 base plus 8 per level plus 50% bonus attack damage. So they're buffing the bonus attack damage and also they're buffing the base value of his passive, which means he's just going to be even scarier when you find enemies isolated and when you just going to do a stupid amount of damage. I mean, this champion is already strong. I'm surprised this champion hasn't received any nerfs, to be honest with you. But yeah, this is one of the changes where it's a bit of like a question mark. I'm like, does he really need a buff? He probably doesn't. But then again, you know, Kha'Zix is getting buffed again. He's going to stay in the S+ tier for me, and he will stay in the S+ tier probably for a long time until he gets nerfed, because this champion is incredibly powerful. He clears the jungle incredibly fast. Probably one of the fastest jungle clearing champions in the game right now. Super mobile, easy to play, you know, can assassinate enemy champions. Really good during team fights as well, because you have the AoE slow on your second ability. I don't know. The champion just has everything, and then they just buff him even more, which is even more crazy. Lucian is probably getting about the 20th buff this year, to be honest with you. I don't know how many buffs he's received this year. He's definitely not fit in the ADC role a lot recently. The attack growth per level, so we get an extra 1 AD per level now, so it's working out about 15 extra AD at level 15, or 14 extra AD, sorry, at level 15, which doesn't really do too much. The big thing is his first ability. You can see that the first ability is getting nerfed in terms of the base damage, it seems like, especially during the early levels. The later levels, it actually gets increased. So at level 4, you're actually going to be dealing more base damage with your first ability, but then the bonus attack damage percentage is going up. So this is going to benefit more for builds that are building more attack damage, because you're going to be dealing more damage with your piercing light. Will this do anything to Lucian? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. The champion's been buffed so many times. Kraken Slayer got buffed. Solari Chargeblade got buffed. There are so many things what they're trying to do to try and put Lucian back into the meta, but Lucian's just not as great as like these hyper carries. These hyper carries are incredibly powerful at the moment. You think of like Caitlyn, Vayne, Xayah, Zeri, you know, all these hyper carries. They just scale and do so much better than champions like Lucian, and that's why no one really plays Lucian, because the early game, to be honest, doesn't really mean that much at the moment, and it's hard to get advantages in the early game because of how much passive income you get in terms of gold and XP. So it's hard to kind of, you know, get a huge advantage. So again, they are buffing Lucian. Well, do I think this will be enough? Probably not, but we'll have to wait and see. Malphite, AP Malphite is a hit with you guys, but what about tank Malphite? We're tweaking his scaling a bit so both get the love they deserve. Honestly, I have no idea why people play AP Malphite. This shit sucks. Like, I'll be totally honest with you, AP Malphite sucks. Like, I don't know why people play every single time I see a Malphite. It's either Malphite mid, Malphite support, or even Malphite Baron lane just going full AP. Like, I do not understand why people are going for AP Malphite. I still think probably tank Malphite is better than AP Malphite. I just don't understand it. But they're even buffing tank Malphite now, so they're even trying to basically say, hey guys, stop playing AP Malphite and let's try and play tank Malphite. The shield is going to scale more with maximum HP now, so that'll be quite nice for the passive. And the second ability, which is the kind of the auto attack reset and the big massive AoE auto attacks that you get on your second ability, the passive armor bonus is going up, so the more armor you get, the more damage you're going to get. Damage on the first empowered attack, so the base value is staying the same, but it's now okay, so it's just scaling more with armor. Is this the same with this as well? Yeah, so they're both scaling more with armor now. They're scaling with the same ability power, so they're actually not nerfing AP Malphite at all. It's more to do with just buffing the armor version and the tank version of Malphite, which means that you're going to be doing more damage now, even with tank Malphite. So I have to see how that goes. Miss Fortune, again, another champion that just doesn't find her way. Again, another champion that's incredibly powerful during the early game, but just can't hit anything in terms of the late game, you know. So again, they're buffing Miss Fortune as well. This is quite a lot though for extra base attack damage. I'm pretty sure they also buffed her base damage a few patches ago, so they're really going hard now on her base attack damage. So that means early game Miss Fortune is going to be extremely scary. Her base values also increased. This means that you can use your abilities a lot more to abuse her power in the early game, and also you're getting a lot more mana per level. This is actually really good. I actually quite like this change for Miss Fortune, because at the moment you're using your abilities and you can run out of mana very, very quickly. That's why sometimes you have to go for items like Essence Reaver and Manamune. You probably still do have to go for them items, but at least it gives you more of an opportunity to make plays during the laning phase. You know, with your base attack damage increase, with your base mana increase as well, this means you can use your first ability more often to poke and try and do a little bit more damage. So yeah, really, really nice. This is a gut and a half to Nilah in the jungle, like a complete gut and a half. Nilah was washing out her opponents way faster then they can paddle. These changes will put a little dam on her. Like what is this? Damage to monsters gone from 60% down to 25%. This is such a huge damage nerf to Nilah in the jungle. I mean, I think this is probably okay, I would say that this is one of her strongest points in terms of clearing the jungle, but I think the big thing is her cleave damage from her passive as well, which also clears the jungle very, very quickly. But this is definitely going to nerf Nilah jungle by a lot. From 60% down to 25%, that is pretty scary. That's really, really scary. Orianna, I've been seeing a lot of Orianna recently, especially in pro play as well. I've still been watching some pro games every now and again, and Orianna has been incredibly powerful. You know, items like Luna's Echo plus the Crown of Shattered Queen, and also the Archangel Staff as well, just giving you a stupid amount of mana. You get the shielding, you're super safe as well. So yeah, you can see that they're kind of nerfing Orianna. They're nerfing Orianna, but they're also buffing her at the same time. In a way, it's kind of weird. You can see the base stats, her health per level is going up, going down, sorry, so she's not going to be as tanky. But again, items like Crown and Shattered Queen means that this doesn't really matter too much. Command attack, I'm not too sure if they got this wrong, because it says the bonus bonus magic damage on attacks, which is normally her passive, but I'm not too sure if they kind of got this confused. But basically, every single time she attacks, she does bonus magic damage. It used to be 10 plus 3 per level plus 15%, but now it's not that much, so you won't be doing as much with your auto attacks. But then they are buffing the damage of Shockwave, so they're making Shockwave a lot more impactful now, I guess you can say, and a lot more important. Whereas you're not going to get a lot of damage from your auto attacks, but you're going to get more damage if you do hit your Shockwave. So it's going to be even more vital now to hit your Shockwave and to, you know, combo your other abilities and land your other abilities at the same time. So overall, it's a nerf to Orianna, but is a nerf slash buff, so it's a bit of an adjustment in a way. Pyke, we're adjusting Pyke to let him rip through enemies, his enemies even easier. Again, I'm not too sure why Pyke is getting buffed. I think Pyke is in a pretty good spot, to be honest with you. I'm not really too sure about it. Damage on the third ability. Again, I'm pretty sure this has been buffed like 3 or 4 times this year. It's absolutely insane, but pretty much affecting the later stages of the game. Doesn't really affect too much in terms of the early game, because your 120 base damage is still there and the bonus attack damage is still the same. So it's more of a late game Pyke, so trying to just give you a little bit more damage on your third ability. Death from alone, Pyke gains gold if his allies assist on takedown. Was 140%, now it's 106%. Pyke gains gold if enemies are slain by his allies in the X-shaped area. So just giving Pyke more gold in general. Obviously, you give gold, over to your allies as well. But this is more to do with Pyke's solo gold for himself. And this is mainly if he's able to get an assist. Oh no, sorry. This is the if allies assist, and this is if you assist in a takedown. And basically you don't get the reset on your ultimate. But again, yeah, Pyke getting buffed. Not really too sure. I don't agree with it too much, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Samira, again, another champion that hasn't really fit too well. This is the most baffling thing for me. Samira does well early on. What? Samira does not do well early on. I don't know where they got that from. Falls off mid and late game. I don't know where they got this statement from, or where they got this stats from. I mean, Samira has never really been a good early game champion at all. Like, we're giving her a little bit of boost to make sure her in-back keeps up with her confidence. Like, I don't know, they're giving her armor per level, magic resist per level, making her a bit tankier. I mean, the change is nice, don't get me wrong. Like, it's pretty good to give you, you know, allow you to be a bit more tankier, because Samira is one of them champions that you want to jump in and you want to try and use your passive and try and get your combo up as quick as possible. But I don't know why they say Samira does well early on. Don't really agree with that. And also the base damage as well, going up by every single base damage on his on her first ability, sorry, going up every single rank in terms of base damage, and also the percentage of the attack damage. So first ability getting buffed is definitely going to help her out a lot. As you can tell, there are a lot of changes. Sona, I think Sona has something stupid like a 60% win rate or something like that in China, like something stupid like that. Honestly, I don't know why. I honestly don't think, you know, Sona is really that great, to be honest with you. I think the big thing is in Wild Rift, and it's kind of the same thing as what I say with KO as well, is that players don't really understand how to punish these champions. Champions like Sona and KO just scale up super easy. They just play safe, they play underneath the tower, they get a few items, they get a few levels, and then they become unkillable. They become extremely difficult to deal with, and that's kind of the same as what happened with Sona, is what's happening with KO at the moment as well. But in terms of the champion itself, like, the champion is not that great, doesn't really offer too much, especially throughout pretty much the whole early game until they reach like level 10, level 12. But hey, that's my opinion anyway. But they are nerfing Sona. They are nerfing the cooldown reduction of the basic skills. This is mainly in the later levels rather than the early levels. They are buffing her second ability, which is nice, because her second ability definitely did feel a little bit weak. When I played her, the health regeneration in general was very weak. You wasn't healing as much. They were trying to make Sona more of a, I guess, a carry in a way, especially with her new ultimate and also her damage increase on her first ability, because they nerfed a lot with her healing, but they are now buffing that buff back up. And they're changing a bit with the shielding as well. They're nerfing the shielding a little bit, so put more power in the healing and less power in the shielding, which is quite nice. Then the ultimate, the passive enhanced aura effect, sorry, has gone down. The sound wave damage has also gone down, and then the slow has also gone down. So just nerfing her ultimate in general. Yeah, like I said, I didn't think Sona was this strong anyway to warrant a nerf, in my opinion. But maybe it's just a case of how the game works. You know, the games are so quick. You get so much, you know, base gold and base experience in terms of you basically don't need to do anything, and you can get a lot of golden experience. So maybe this is why champions like Sona are incredibly strong, because you get to about 10-15 minutes in the game and then you can become very powerful. This quality of life change is very nice for Thresh. Normally at the moment, where you know where Thresh is going to hook, because every single time that he throws his hook, he's going to be in that direction, like he's going to be looking in that direction. But now it says during the wind up of Death Sentence, Thresh won't immediately turn towards the casting direction of Death Sentence. So you can now basically walk away from a target and you can throw a hook behind you, and the enemy won't know where the direction of the hook is. Like, you could do so many like walk away hooks. There's so many ways in which you can kind of, I guess, like dissuade the hook in a way where you're looking in one direction, you're throwing a hook in another direction, and the enemies won't have a clue at all. So I think overall this is actually a pretty big buff for Thresh in general. Gonna make it extremely more difficult to try and dodge his hook, and is yeah, very welcome change. Very nice. Trendemir, I mean, getting buffed, no surprise really. The slow going up by quite a lot, by 10% at every single rank, which is pretty crazy. Third ability going lower in terms of cooldown, and also getting buffed in terms of the bonus attack damage ratio. So some buffs to Trendemir. I don't think it'll really do too much, to be honest with you. I don't think Trendemir will be that great anyway. But yeah, some buffs to Trendemir. Got also getting some buffs to his third ability. I'm not too sure what's changed. Oh, and also the base value of the shield. So you're getting more base value with the shield, and you can also use it more often. So this will help Urgot a lot during lane phase. Again, another champion I don't really see too much. And also the ultimate cooldowns also going down. Vladimir, I'm pretty sure should be getting nerfed. Yeah, I mean, this champion is absolutely disgusting. This champion is so incredibly powerful right now. The first ability, the base damages are going down. It's only by 10 every level though, which is a bit strange. Crimson Dash causes extra damage ratio. Okay, that also goes down by percentage. Move speed increase also goes down. I don't think this will really do too much to Vladimir. I still think Vladimir will be extremely powerful. This is only going down by 10 every single rank. The extra damage is only going down by 10% as well. And then you get a little bit of a movement speed decrease, but this doesn't really mean too much, to be honest with you. I still think, you know, Vladimir will be incredibly strong. And the final change is a ZIGGS rework, which will be coming on January the 4th. Now, I briefly looked at this rework. I quite like it. I kind of understand the direction that they're going in with ZIGGS. They're basically making him into a champion that you just need to use your abilities and you don't need to auto attack at all, because they're getting rid of so many things which basically just negates you wanting to walk up and auto attack. You just stand as far back as possible and throw your abilities, which, to be honest, you already do at the moment. But now they're just kind of removing that whole concept of his passive and also being able to auto attack, you know, every so often and kind of walk into range. I'll explain what I mean by that. So the passive, the short fuse, they're basically removing the enhanced ZIGGS next attack to deal bonus ability damage. And now the passive is all ZIGGS' abilities can now deal 15% damage to turrets. So you can throw your ultimate, your first ability, your third ability, your second ability. All of this will now deal damage to towers. So ZIGGS is going to be a tower taking machine in the next patch. It's going to be crazy. And enhanced bouncing bombs as well, which is his first ability, deal bonus additional damage as well. So it seems like there is still an enhanced version, but again, it's not to do with the next basic attack. It's now to do with the enhancement of the next bouncing bomb. So again, more to do with focusing on the abilities rather than, you know, ZIGGS' auto attacks. Because I guess the idea is that not a lot of people were utilizing ZIGGS' passive enough and not understanding ZIGGS' passive in terms of his auto attacks, or you have to auto attack every so often. So now they're just doing it. So now they're basically making it all to do with his abilities instead, which I quite like. I think the thing is, you know, quite nice. A bouncing bomb, subsequent landing area from the bounces will be displayed. This is really, really nice. If they're actually able to show each 3 individual bounces, I think that is really, really nice, because then you can actually see like if a bomb is going to bounce over minions or over a tower or anything like that, and whether it's actually going to reach an enemy champion or not. So I really, really like this change to the kind of a quality of life change really for bouncing bombs. Slightly increase the bullet speed as well, so that's the cast speed of bouncing bomb, expand the range, but they have nerfed the damage as well, which is no surprise. I mean, when you're doing, you know, kind of all these things, especially with the enhanced bouncing bomb. So even though they're nerfing the base damage, they do have the enhanced bouncing bomb, remember, which will deal 17 plus 3 per level plus 20% ability power additional magic damage. So you're nerfing the base damage, which, by the way, during the, you know, when you're level 7 or 8, that's only 5% less base damage. Plus you have the enhanced bouncing bombs as well. So overall, I would say this is a buff to ZIGGS, which is really, really nice. Icon indicator to demolish towers will now be visible on the whole map as well as in the fog of war. Okay, interesting. We'll now display an execution line on the turrets when they can be demolished. I wonder if this is to do with the health. Maybe there's like a red bar on the turret health, which tells you, okay, if you go below this, then you can use your second ability. Again, pretty nice quality of life change. And you can also now use the charges in the air. You can now detonate your charges in the air, which I think is, again, an incredible change, because with ZIGGS, when you're trying to escape enemy champions, you have to wait until the satchel charge is on the floor before you can actually use it on yourself. But if you can use it in mid-air, and if it works like I think it's going to work, where you can use the second ability, activate it straight away, it's like you could basically double tap the ability and you're just going to shoot yourself away straight away. That can be really, really powerful in terms of, you know, ZIGGS trying to escape and everything like that. So again, incredible change. The ultimate, they've removed the center blast zone of ZIGGS' ultimate. So now it doesn't really matter whether you hit the ZIGGS ultimate in the center of the circle or in the outer stage of the circle. You're now just going to deal a flat damage anywhere in the circle, which has been nerfed as well. The base damage has been nerfed, and also the ability power percentage has been nerfed. But now they also have a smart cast, expands the range of searching targets to the full range. I mean, if this is similar to what I was explained, they also have a smart cast where you're able to target lock on champions rather than being able to just freely use the ability or just tap the ability and it just kind of goes wherever. Apparently they have like a new smart cast where you can use your ultimate. It's kind of like Shen's ultimate in a way, where you can actually use a target to use it on. Not too sure exactly how that works, but we'll have to wait and see when ZIGGS Rework comes out. But yeah, really, really nice change. January 4th. I think this will overall make ZIGGS stronger, which is kind of scary because, you know, ZIGGS meta was not very fun, especially in pro play. But I can understand why they're going for the quality of life change, and I think overall they are really, really nice changes. And then finally, we have 2 new item changes. War of Mortius is already very good and is getting even better, to be honest with you, like even better, because before the Demon Bane passive was magic shield will be triggered by 20% damage from only attacks, but now the magic shield will be triggered by 20% damage by base attacks or 15% damage dealt by abilities. So it now works on abilities. So champions that maybe don't use auto attacks as much, I'm thinking of champions like maybe Kayn, Kha'Zix, Aatrox, maybe even champions like Lucian and things like, yeah, sometimes they do auto attack a little bit, but the main damage comes from their abilities. You're now going to be getting that magic shield from Demon Bane by now just dealing physical damage in general, which I think is an incredible buff for more of Mortius, and it's going to be a must buy when you're against pretty much any magic damage in general. And then Twin Guard as well, also getting a little bit of a buff. They're reducing the gold by 100 and they're increasing the armor by 5. I think this item was already pretty good, but I can understand why they're buffing this item ever so slightly. And then we're getting a few things as well, a few skins: Blood Moon, Trendemir, Prestige, Heartsteel, Yone, Hextech ZIGGS, which is, I believe, is going to be in the Hextech store. Project Varus, Project Warwick, and Project Pike, which will be coming out January 10th. And then it just has a skin update about the Jade Wukong will be getting a cosmetic upgrade and leaving the store on December 29th. So if you want to pick that up, you can do. But yeah, like I said, a lot of champion changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 champion changes. And if you think of the time of the year as well, like, hey, you got to give credit where credit is due to Riot, you know, in terms of keeping up to date on terms of the patches. Like I said, ever since the dev team has moved over to Singapore, a lot of people were doubting it, but I think this really shows they're willing to kind of take risks, I guess, in a way, in terms of loads of changes per patch and not just a few changes per patch. They like to keep things fresh. They're doing a lot of nice quality of life changes as well. They're doing a lot of other things as well. I would like to see more in terms of events. I think the events have been pretty mediocre this year. I don't think they've been too great, but overall I think the balance changes are really, really nice, even though some of them are questionable. But yeah, as I mentioned, you know, I've come back to do this little bit of a video. I'm still kind of taking a break until the new year. The new year's when I'll start to do a lot of content again, daily content. If there is any content that you do want to see, please let me know down in the comments. I'll read every single comment. I'll read all your guys's I was going to say advice, but not really advice, I guess more suggestions than anything else in terms of what content you want to see during the new year and also during the duration of 2024. But yeah, 2023 has been a great year. I've been able to achieve a lot. I got up to 20k subs, was able to travel to Korea and places like that. So hopefully 2024 is just going to be as good as 2023. But yeah, hopefully you have a great new year anyway. Hopefully 2024 is a blessed one for you all. And I'll see you all in the new year. Take care. Peace.